Hello, it's Brad. Again, welcome to my studio. I have a lot to share today, mostly little things that I've been working on, things that I'm getting ready to put into bigger videos. You know what, let me turn this heater off real quick so we don't have that noise going on. This is going to be another one of those 20-minute videos that I don't edit. It'll be what it is, and I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff at you. So I'm working on content. I do have a project that I'm going to be filming probably in a couple of stages. That'll be a little bit longer video. I'm going to show you what I'm thinking with that in just a minute. First thing though is I want to show you these pieces that we did in a previous video, the 4" by 4" collage squares that then we mixed up and collaged and mixed up and collaged to make these. I made a whole bunch of them, and some of them were pretty successful and I thought worthy of presentation just by themselves. This is something that I might use in a bigger piece, just to, throw an element into a bigger piece as a collage material. But some of these ended up being pretty exciting on their own and sort of standalone pieces. So I did get, this is that like MDF or a masonite board, 1 by 2 furring strips, built a little frame made of panels. All right. What I do then with those is I take book pages and some gel medium, and I just cover the whole thing in paper, and then I painted it out white. And I do have one that I mounted here, but I think those turn out as nice pieces all by themselves. It's a solid. Like legitimate piece of art. So that's where I went with those, and I just wanted to share that with you because I think that that those do have the potential to turn out to be a really, really interesting piece and worthy of. You could put it in a frame behind. The nice thing is some of this stuff that I do ends up being such unstandard sizes. They're not standard sizes. Like, so if you build your own things this way, then you can mount them appropriately. You're not trying to force a square peg into a round hole. I'm going to go over the top of this, I think, with a matte medium just to seal it in. I haven't done that yet, and then I think that it doesn't require glass. That's a piece that just can hang on the wall just like that, and I think it's great. So I wanted to share that with you. That's how I'm going to be presenting those pieces. The other thing I wanted to share with you is, this is pretty crafty, but I did something interesting with this. So I don't know if you know what this is, but it's a little embossing machine. If you get into, again, the scrapbooking materials and paper crafting and journaling materials that are in Joann's and Michael's, and they do have, as I've said before, I do think that we shouldn't ignore the usefulness of some of those tools if you can think of some interesting things to do with them. This was about $60 to buy this little machine. I bought it a few weeks ago. It does die cuts and it does embossing. And you put paper into these little embossing folders and crank the paper through, and then it comes out embossed. Now, what I thought was cool was the other day, as I was looking at the stack of soda cans in my son's room, I thought, you know what, the aluminum on that is really super thin. I wonder if I could run it through like you run paper through. And it did. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can. It's a Mountain Dew can. so I think cutting little pieces of, this is interesting to me because in an assemblage piece or in something that you want to add some texture, I just think that's a really useful thing. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this yet, but you can bet that I will, and I will be sharing that soon. But I wanted to just show that to you because I was pretty excited about what that tool can do to some aluminum. A few days ago I made some paper, and what I did with this paper is I rolled a stamp pattern over it before it was dry. It was about half dry, and I think that's an interesting sort of embossing, get some texture on some paper. I think we'll work with some handmade paper soon, and I've got to figure out exactly what I want to do as far as making it worthy of a video and having a project. It might be 2 or 3 projects that are in a handmade paper video. I made a bunch of paper pulp, like way too much. So I'm gonna have to use that for something. I think we'll make some paper with it. And then the other thing, this is paper mache clay that I made. This is a very useful material as well, and I think it's worth doing a video on making this clay, and then some things you can do with that, because what I like about it is it's air dry. There's a lot of things that I sometimes want to use polymer clay for, but it's the sculpture part of that I want to attach to something that I can't necessarily put in the oven. So then I end up trying to make these fitted pieces of polymer clay, and then baking them, and then getting them back to the piece and trying to make them work. If I can sculpt onto the piece with something that then air dries, and it gets pretty hard. I put some the other day on this little wood panel, and then I soaked a magazine image and sealed it over the top of that just to give it some dimension. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but it gets hard, and it's really a useful thing. So this paper pulp is not going to go to waste, but I think we need to film the use of it. So we'll be pulling some paper on a mold and decal, and I'll make some more clay, and we'll do something with that clay. In fact, in this next video, I might be using some clay. I'm not sure. All right, so I wanted to talk about those things, and I think the only other thing that I have to talk about is what I'm going to be working on next. And this is an interesting idea. So my studio is inside of a greater building of this is the place where we've rolled out Camp Christmas. If you're in Denver, I do a lot of work for Hands-On Studios, contract work for them the last several years. We've worked on Houston Zoo and done a lot of other projects, and Camp Christmas the last couple of years. But I just rent about 180 square feet inside of this studio. There's another artist, Scott Lyon, who he runs the Pork Chop Show is his Etsy shop, and we'll do an interview and a visit with him in his studio. It's just on the other side of the wall over here at some point in the future, because his stuff's pretty exciting. Anyway, we did about 3 years ago, I want to say, the Trash Fashion Show, and a lot of people donated stuff. It was a fashion show. We built all of the designs out of disposable or recyclable materials, and so people love the opportunity to donate stuff, right? To get rid of their stuff and feel like it's going to something. So one of the things that got donated was like 4 or 5 or 6 of these CPR for CPR class. These little dummies that their lungs fill up when you do it right. Anyway, these have sat around here for like 3 years, and I just checked in with studio to make sure it was okay that I commandeered them, and they're like, yeah, you can take those. I want to take, in fact, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to take this face off of here. I want to do something with this. You know, I'm not afraid of having things go a little bit creepy. It's totally fine with me. It's got a nice, like, some structure in the back, which is great. So I think when I was thinking about this before, because this is the kind of project you want to go in with some kind of a plan. You know, usually I don't have much of a plan. I have some materials and like, oh, that'd be cool, let's see what happens. And it's the same way with this, but this could go terribly, terribly wrong without some kind of plan. I'm just going to cut these little tabs off of here because I don't want those on there. There's a lot of challenges here. This is very rubbery, so being able to get anything to stick to it or get it to stick to something is hard. I have some panels that I painted about 4 years ago, and I never got them built into pieces. But there's one. This is that same masonite board, and they should be. There's some nice raw canvas in this one. That's cool. They need to be turned into panels before they're, you know, pieces. And I never pushed forward with these. I actually feel like now when I look at them, they're not finished pieces. They definitely are a great start, but this one I like a lot. It's already got some shapes that I was sort of thinking about in it, inherently in it. It has some collage elements that have faces peeking through and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening in this that make me think this is the piece I want to use for this, and it is. I did a really, I don't know if you can see this drawing. So it's a super rough sketch of like some jars or vases. And then this would indicate maybe where that head is. So I'm thinking sort of map out a still life here of vases, and then I have a picture in my head of this sort of maybe taller, skinnier vase becoming the neck for this head, and then just pushing this head into the piece. And I'm even thinking of having something coming out of his mouth, like some tube or something that comes out and curls around and goes into one of the drawn or painted vases. Now that presents a few challenges, and the way I think I'm gonna attack that is I actually think I am gonna screw this on to the piece with drywall screws. I'll put some goop on the back of it, screw it in to the piece, and then I think I can build out with possibly the paper mache clay, modeling paste, plaster bandage. There's several things I could do to sort of, you know, adhere this and then sort of build it up. I want it to be the most three-dimensional part, and then I'll sculpt the neck into the neck of that bottle in my head, that's how it's working. And then I have something else that brings it, that incorporates it into the other pieces that maybe will just have some little bit of work into some three-dimensional so that can disappear into it. And anyway, it's going to be a fat piece. It's going to be a three-dimensional. It'll be on a panel. I'll use those furring strips to make the panel. I'm going to need to put something in here. Again, it might be that modeling, not modeling paste, but it might be that clay, the paper mache clay, or I might just do some like newspaper or something in there. Get it wet, throw some glue on it, stick it in there, and just screw it in and let it, eventually get hard. There's holes, so there would be air for it to. It wouldn't stay wet in there. It would get hard. I'm going to cut these eyes out and put some eyes in here. And I did pull out my box of eyes. So I thought for the rest of this video, I think we'll sort of figure out which eyes are going to work best. And then sort of recap what I'm going to do before I come back and see you again, and then we'll push forward with that piece. I'm going to get some of the time-consuming parts done, not on video, like the stuffing and screwing and getting things adhered and stuff. And then when that's all dry, we'll come back and start maybe drawing and painting everything out, figuring that out. That'll be, just watch the interesting parts, not all the screwing and cussing that's probably going to happen while I'm trying to figure out how to get this to attach. The other idea I had, because it is so rubbery, I thought, I'm going to get real close to you because I reach over here. This is Yes Paste. And it's a really great all-purpose collage glue. But what I might do is paint this face with Yes Paste after it's screwed onto the panel. And then once that's dry, then I can paint it with gesso. And then I think it'll be a surface I could actually work on. It worked on the doll head the other day, that rubbery doll head, to gesso, to sort of rough it up and then gesso it. Anyway, let's look at... So these are ping pong balls that you can turn into eyes. I'm not going to do that. These are some like Halloween eyes. They're a little too bloodshot, like Halloween spooky. I'm not going to use those. These are a bunch of watercolor pods, which I think could make great eyes. Either way, you could put a ball in there and build it up, or you could have it be that way. But I don't think I'm going to use those either. I'm going to get into this box, and let's see if I can do this and show you what I have here. So these are doll eyes, googly eyes. I don't think that's right. This is more of like those are kind of cool, like cat's eyes. These are eyes that I make. And at some point we'll make these and we'll do we'll skin a sketchbook and give it eyes. That's not, these are glass, and I think that's too heavy. I do have these smaller glass ones. So it's gonna be, it might be those. Definitely not googly eyes. I think we're gonna come in here, but let's cut out some holes in that face where the eyes are, and then we'll see if we'll see what looks good. And as I'm doing that, again, we'll talk about what I'm going to do before I come back. So that is going to be the next video, is this still life with head and some tubes or something. I mean, it doesn't really have to make sense. The story is just that it's going to be interesting to look at, or creepy. So I am going to get in here. I'm going to fold this like that and use these surgical scissors to just get a start here. Okay. And then I don't want to cut the holes too big because I do like to have, I want the, you know, there's skin over your eyes. Eyes don't just sit on your head. They're inside your head with flaps over them, and that's going to make it look more realistic. And also, if I can get the tooth that I want on this, the surface, the working surface, I can go back in with paper mache clay or modeling paste or something and kind of build up again around those eyes. Okay. Ooh, you could wear it. That's super creepy. So if I had I mean, let's imagine a cat's eye like this one, right? Or this was another option. Anyway, it is creepy, isn't it? But I like it. I like that a lot. That one's got some cool color. So, that's what's happening. I'm gonna get this figured out, get it mounted on this panel. I'm gonna have to put some little furring strip pieces behind those screws, but that's okay. Once it's a panel, it won't matter that that's back there. Get this really secured. When I come back in the next video, I'll go through how I got it secured, because I'm quite confident that that's gonna happen. And then we can start mapping out all the parts of it. This is fun. This is going to be an exciting one. So anyway, that's a bunch of stuff that's going on here. A bunch of things to move forward and look forward to. Please subscribe, like, share, tell your friends about it. And I look forward to seeing you when this is on the board. Have a good day.